CCISD police were called to action for two incidents that happened at high schools within the district yesterday. Both were successfully resolved, and campus police want to reassure parents their children are safe at school. Marissa Cummings joins us in our studio right now with a layout of CCISD police safety protocol. Marissa.
That's right, Rudy. One element that contributes to safety on campus is police presence. There are 2 campus officers and security guards at each high school, 1 officer at every middle school, and a handful of officers that patrol the elementary schools. On top of that, depending on the safety concern, ranging from a natural disaster to active shooter, or even as a precautionary measure, the school will go on lockdown. Kirby Warnke is the police chief of CCISD. He says thanks to the 2018 bond that passed, all campuses will eventually become perimeter secured to where there is only 1 entry point.
Get our fences secured. All of the outside doors will be renovated or updated. All those things get done. We will be in a de facto state of lockdown. You can't come into our building without going through the front door and asking for permission.
That also includes adding a locked lobby to the front of every school in the district. Warnke also adds that each school is required to run safety drills every 6 weeks, and that is twice what the state recommends. Rudy?
Thanks, Marissa, for that.